I hit record and we will get started. So I'm gonna share some slides, and then we're gonna do a bit of a demo of a similar system that is published by the same vendor as we've gone with for the reservation system. So to give everybody a sense of the site, and then we'll come back to the presentation. All right, and let me try putting this in slideshow view just to make it a little easier to see. And um, all right. So, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for attending. We really appreciate it. So this is the fourth in the series of meetings of town halls that we're calling them to share what's going on with the reservation system and get you up to speed on the project. And then share a bit about the vendor that has been chosen for this and go through some of the key functionality, some of the benefits that this project is including. And then we've got some discussion questions, some things for you. There's a lot of decisions that have to get made as part of an implementation like this, literally thousands of decisions. Um, this is part of this project is not just the reservation system, but it's also really looking at some of the different policies, procedures, operational processes, and so looking at all of those as we're going into this new reservation system, seeing where can we leverage the new system, where maybe have there been particular policy decisions that uh, may have made a lot of sense in the past, but now with the new system, it's providing the team an opportunity to take a look and see where is there an opportunity just to improve efficiency, improve process, improve access. So um, to begin with, the at a high level, there's three goals for the system. We really wanted to make a system that is much more uh, customer centric, customer facing. And so looking at through the RFR process, putting in place a system that is easier to book, modern website, mobile friendly, fewer steps, fewer clicks to get to what you want. The enabling more self-management, being able to have it, better functionality in terms of managing trips, being able to do it on your phone, being able to upload documents. Um, and then also preserving some of the aspects that customers are really using today, things like being able to see your history, and then finally, one of the big comments that came up during the whole planning process was just more notifications, better information. The existing reservation system has some real limitations in terms of number of contacts, the type of contacts you can put in, the types of options around notifications, and so this was something that was really a major element to ask of the different vendors. And so we're excited the vendor that was chosen does bring to the table uh, uh, options for more informed travel, a less paper-centric process, and then we're looking at ways to just smooth the whole check-in and boarding process. So the timeline for this is it's actually a couple of years start to finish. So there was a detailed procurement process that was kicked off really in the spring of 24, but then was refined throughout the fall of 24. This is when the RFR hit the market, the vendors and bid on, and then there was an evaluation process, review, demos, etc., and then a recommendation was sent to the board, and for those of you that call into the board meeting, so this was voted on by the board, selected a vendor, and now we are in the system configuration period of the project. The working closely with the vendor, starting in August to configure the system, work on, what are those particular things about the Steamship Authority, the Steamship experience that users, are really looking for, and then also at the same time really trying to learn this new system, learn how we can best leverage it, how we can best configure it, and really leaning on the expertise of the vendor, who have implemented the system before in several other ferry systems. Um, the following the configuration period that we're in now, throughout the spring, there's going to be actually now setting up the system. We're going to be working closely with the vendor on that. And then, as it says on the slide, just testing, testing, testing throughout the summer, making sure that everything's working, everything works as designed, that it's really ready to go for day one. And then, in parallel to that, enhancing the infrastructure of the Steamship Authority, looking at especially all the terminals, the wiring, the hardware, the scanners, um, the uh, for instance, we won't be handing it around tonight because this is a virtual meeting, but we have been showing off to folks a handheld scanner that is a demonstration model that we've been looking at to implement at the terminals. And then in the fall is when the system will actually launch. So the plan is to launch this coinciding with the season changes, in a couple phases, and as part of that launch, the new website will also be launched. And so the the effort that has gone into the new website is being brought back as part of this project, and then a phased rollout throughout October, October, November, December, where we're going to roll out the booking process, and then actually in January of 27 is when the steamship will move over to the new system and actually have be 100% in the system with ticket scanning. All right. The any questions so far? Okay. If not, we'll keep going. So, I'm sure you're all excited to learn who the vendor is. Well, the chosen vendor is Adia, and oh, I see Doug has a question. Let's see. Uh, Doug, do you wanna, I think,
There we go.
ask? Yeah,
Um,
I've unmuted you.
yes, thank you. So you said that you're going to do a phased rollout, which I understand. Booking in the fall, um, and then tickets in January. That
Yeah.
seems to imply that the bookings for ferries for trips that are prior to January would be in the old system. So,
Correct.
so
Yeah.
there'll be a period of overlap where depending on when we're going, we're gonna have to use two different systems.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
So the
thank you.
so it would be two parallel systems, and where the 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 plan is that in the fall, that fall ticketing, fall ticket purchase will all be in the old system. And so we're still working out the details of it, but the idea would be that you go to the steamship website. If you're traveling in season, you, the experience is really going to be the same. If you are purchasing a ticket for January, February, March, that there's going to be a button that says, okay, for for the next season, hit this button and it'll take you to the new experience.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the question. Um, the and so the vendor that's going to enable this to happen is Adia. It's an Italian company. They are they are serving some of the largest ferry systems across Europe and then also in North America. They've been at this for quite a while. This is a ferry specific system, which was one of the goals of the procurement process. We really wanted a system that, was tried and true, used elsewhere, and is trying to minimize as much as possible custom development instead of really leverage what they bring to the table. So the IDEA platform, the IDEA system, is already being used by ferries such as you can see on the slide, Grimaldi Lines, which is one of the largest ferry systems operating in the Mediterranean. Color Line is also a major European operator. Um, Caledonian McBrain is a Scottish ferry that we're really excited about because they recently implemented this system. There's a lot of similarities between the steamship experience and what it's CalMac for short, what CalMac has to offer. And so really leveraging what they've experienced as part of the implementation, and then also leveraging the functionality that they're using. And then we were also really happy to see that another client of theirs is BC Ferries. So BC Ferries is operating in British Columbia in Canada. The BC Ferries is the largest ferry system operating in North America. And so again, in terms of, a ferry system with passengers and vehicles, it was, they're leveraging we want to leverage the functionality that they're already using. Um, Adia brings the scale that we were looking for. So in 2024, they carried 49 million passengers, 18 million vehicles. This is a system that has the ability to scale with what the Steamship Authority needs, the ability to support things like the Head Start experience and scale to meet that need. Um, the reality is that steamship, in comparison to some of these other ferry systems, would be a kind of a small to medium, and that means that we really get to leverage not just what we bring to the table, but really leverage the functionality that these other operators are using, and make use of the lessons learned that they've brought as part of their implementation. All right. So the uh, the system has a number of different advantages that we're looking to bring both at launch, and then also looking at where there's opportunity as a phase two, phase three, et cetera, to really improve over time. They bring a modern mobile experience. So it's mobile responsive, which means that the experience on your desktop is then scaled. It's the same experience if you're using like an iPad. It's the same experience if you're using your phone. Um, and because it's a web app, it doesn't matter what kind of phone you use. If you're using an iPhone, if you're using an Android, it's going to scale to the size of the phone, but provide a consistent experience across. So you're not having to learn different interfaces. Um, Today, right, the Steamship Authority has one experience for the desktop, another experience for mobile ticketing, another experience for another mobile ticketing for the Steamship Authority, and so all of those, instead of having multiple different types of experiences, really having one going across platforms. As part of that, the looking for opportunities to empower users around self-service, being able to modify reservations, upload documents, participate in different special programs that the this will allow for paperless travel. So the idea here is, again, as a customer centric system. So we want you to be able to use the kind of ticket that is easiest for you. So if it means that, the fastest thing for you is take out your phone, scan your phone, scan a QR code on your phone, that's what you'll be doing. if you love paper, if you cherish paper, if you're, somebody who just can't get enough of paper, you can bring a paper ticket, you can print it out. That's totally fine. If you want to go into the terminal office, you can still do that, print out a ticket. Um, but really looking where we can reduce the need for paper, and then it just becomes about customer choice as opposed to having a hard and fast particular way that we're looking for. Um, Another thing that's they're bringing to the table that was something we're really looking for is a commercial customer portal, allowing our commercial customers to better manage their freight, their drivers, their trips, and we're really looking at ways to, the better that commercial customers are able to manage their travel, are able to, give us a heads up in terms of changes and things like cancellations that they're making. It makes it easier than to manage that space and make that space more available to the traveling public. So we're really excited that the commercial experience is going to improve, which is going to help the steamship improve the overall operational experience. I mentioned the special programs being one of the things that we're looking to empower users around self-service, being able to just easier access to the special programs, looking at ways that you'll be able to upload documents and try to make that process better, so you're not um, having to go into the terminal office with a big pile of paper, trying to update your excursion status, for instance, which we hope will also allow for then speedier processing because there's the taking out some of the lag of paper moving across the system. Um, the I mentioned that the we also want to hold on to some of the things that folks really like about the existing system. So being able to look up your travel history, look up your past reservations, but then to add on to that, enhancing payment. So looking at the system tokenizing credit cards so that in a safe way we can um, you'll be able to have a stored credit card and then be able to use that for multiple transactions. Um, I mentioned enhanced notifications, so the system comes with real-time notifications, being able to get text, emails, etc., about your trip status. Um, Looking at how we can use that better around cancellations, changes, notifications for things like driver services for those on the Nantucket route, um, and we're working with the vendor on where there are opportunities to make that person specific, so that you've also got some choice in the notifications and types of notifications you get. Um, all of this will help us look at then how can we improve the terminal experience, speed the terminal experience. So I mentioned the use of handhelds. So we're looking at how can we use handheld devices to do things like speed loading. So for instance, if you've noticed that we've got the readers by the bridge, and those are hardwired in, but then often because it's more efficient, right, the person taking tickets will be standing 20, 30 feet away, which means that then they have to be walking back and forth to scan tickets. So the looking at things like how can we use handhelds so that we speed that process, and reduce the time you're waiting at the terminal so you can get on board and have a lovely trip on the ferry. Um, the In terms of visibility, so the subscriptions and coupon books, the Adia system already comes with the ability to look up and track your coupon books, see how many tickets you've got left, to um, give you better information, allow you to more easily update your card, um, and and that's part of the, we're looking at ways to personalize the experience around, preferences, vehicles, payment methods, the routes, setting it up so it's just, again, fewer clicks so you can focus on focus on the travel and not the ticket process. All right. I know I just ran through a lot. Any questions or comments? Okay. Oh, Doug, I see your hand up again.
Yeah, I've got a list. I appreciate the vast improvement in terms of using remote scanners and so forth. Is there any thought, because I can't imagine you'd roll this out immediately, to using license plate readers so
Oh,
that anybody already booked, the system knows as you drive up that you've got a ticket, and as you arrive at the ferry itself, nobody has to do anything unless you don't have a ticket, and then they have to pull you out. But is there any thought to doing that down the line?
yes, yes. I'm so glad you brought that up. And that's a good description of it. Yes, this system enables for an automated check-in process where you'd be able to drive in, it'll read the license plate, then some kind of monitor tell you what lane to get into, and so especially for experienced steamship users, being able to really just drive in, drive right to the lane. We're really looking at that as a phase two. We debated phase one, but that the implementation of the system is going to be enough. Um, but the looking at that as a future phase, the approach that we are taking to this project is as much as possible trying to be a fast follower, trying to use the technology that's out there and then apply it to the Steamship Authority experience. Um, that kind of process of reading the license plate and then driving into the lane, that's something that is widely available, that is being used across that is a standard experience across a lot of European ports. So the technology is really it exists, it works, it's being used, and we're already starting to discuss, okay, where could we build that, where could that work in the flow. It's definitely something that there's been a lot of discussion about, and it could be really beneficial in terms of reducing the backup, and just as you described, having a process where you know it breaks into two lanes. One lane knows where they're going. They're just gonna, get in line, get into their lane, and then a separate experience if you've got questions, if you need to talk to somebody, if you need to stop at the booth, etc. Um, and so that's definitely something that isn't going to be part of the initial rollout, but definitely looking at for a future rollout. All right. So to keep going, so what's enabling part of this is we really wanted a one system. And so having a centralized system, you can see in the center, right, a centralized database that everything's talking to, so that the terminal users, the folks at Palmer, at Mashpee, are all in real time connecting to the same database that is being used by the terminal agents, being used by the customers, being used by the website, um, and so that there aren't delays, there aren't points of failure where it's going to a local database and then having to sync, that's causing some of the delays that happen today. And then on the right, you can see it. We're working with the vendor to then connect to some of the legacy systems, so the accounting system, the parking system, the internal timekeeping system, and having all those integrations working again, having that set up for as much as possible, having that set up for this initial launch. But the big thing is, going into this, we really wanted one system, and Idea's their platform is bringing that to the table. The system itself will be hosted in an Oracle Cloud environment. So again, scalable, robust. Um, the now the and Now I should say I don't want to oversell the system, right? It's This is going to be a lot of change. It's going to be a lot that's happening. Um, while having it hosted in the cloud should uh, make this a much more robust and resilient system, still gonna still gonna have some challenges we need to work through. Um, the but it's a modern platform, it's a modern setup, and the by having it hosted in the cloud, then also allowing it to improve over time, and as I mentioned, as the system gets better with other clients, it'll get better for the steamship. Okay, I'm not gonna unless there's any questions. I'm not gonna dwell too much on this one. What we wanted to share that we thought might be a little bit more interesting is what does the CalMac experience look like today? So again, the what we're going to use is the configurable web experience that is already built for this reservation system. And so the we're going to adjust the look and feel to the steamship needs, but again, leveraging an experience, a user setup that's already built, it's already robust, it's already tested, and focus on how can we configure it to the steamship need. So on the screen here, you can see this is just some screenshots of the CalMac mobile experience. So the ability to go in, say, yes, I'd like to buy a ticket, um, you know, identifying what kind of ticket you want, being able to confirm the route and the terminals, then identifying your passengers, your dates, and then getting all the way through to purchasing a ticket. So if you would like, the this is a live site. This is being used currently. We're gonna jump to a quick demo just showing the live site. Hopefully this will work out for everybody. The I don't think I don't seem to be glitching, so hopefully the where I am, the internet's pretty good. And we'll show you what this looks like, but we also encourage you to check it out. Um, you may not want to buy a ticket because, again, if you go buy a ticket from CalMac Ferries, you will be purchasing a ticket. I'm sure the CalMac ferry system will really appreciate your revenue, but you can go all the way through this process and just not hit pay at the end. If you want to see what a similar experience will be to the future steamship experience. All right. So any questions while I take down the I'm going to stop sharing and then bring up the website and hopefully be able to walk through that.
Question. When we try this on our own, why not buy it and see what it's like to get a refund? Because I assume the steamship may offer refunds as well.
Yeah, the I mean you can, but honestly, I don't know what the CalMac refund policy is. So you'd be taking a risk on that one. I also don't know if you got a refund, if you got charged an exchange a currency exchange because it's the transactions in British pounds. Um, I don't know if you'd get all your money back. So you're welcome to, but you're gonna take a risk on that one.
Gotcha.
All right. And okay.
Can you hear me? I want to be sure my sound
Yes.
is on.
Yes, I
Okay.
can hear you.
According to the newspapers, one third of this island year round is are baby boomers over 60, some of whom can figure out tech and many of whom still cannot.
Hmm.
So I personally think paper is not something to be sniffed at, but absolutely mandatory. And to the extent that you're going to take a system that we've all been using for the last umpteen years and turn it into a whole new system is, I mean, you're using language that I'm not familiar with, and I'm sure it's very techy. But the more that this thing can be direct provided for the one third of the people who actually live here, as opposed to the people who are coming over for 2 weeks, the better.
Great. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. And please, stop me if there's, some kind of if I'm using any language or terminology you're not understanding. We really want to make sure that, we bring everybody along with this so that we can really collect their feedback. But really thank you for that. Um, the so a big focus has been on, again, preserving, you're still going to be able to go into the terminal office. You're still going to be able to talk to an agent, still going to be able to have a paper ticket if that's what you want. The that service is there. So part of this is trying to really move to where the including the terminal agents, it's less about, how does the system work and more about how can we make sure that the focus is on meeting people's needs, answering people's questions, helping people where they need it, um, and having the technology be be less of an impact on that experience. So for those that are more tech savvy, to have it a more seamless experience. For those who, don't want to, you know either don't want to use the technology or need help, the to be able to focus on that service provision. Okay. So let me bring up the CalMax site. So this is the CalMac landing page, similar to the front page of the if you go to the steamshipauthority.com. Um, and so you can see off to the side here, uh, red button for buy tickets. Um, so when we hit that, that takes us to then the ticket purchasing site. And and as you can see by the picture, their vessel's very similar to the Woods Hole, which made us happy to see. Right, they're running similar vessels. They've got similar configuration needs in terms of the how they set up the vessels, how they set up space, so that it can be uh, so that then it can be reflected in the reservation system. Just to make this a little easier, I did set up an account. So I'm going to hit I have an account, um, and the account is to the True North at steamshipauthority.com. Which again is a reminder, if you've got any questions, comments, please send it to True North at steamshipauthority.com. Hit sign in, and now it's taken me um, to the True North page. Um, then I'm going to pick what kind of trip I'm looking for: a one-way, return, multi-island. In this case, we're going to book a return trip, and and so this is something that'll all be configured to, of course, the what how the steamship operates and the steamship port. So the in this case, we're gonna just pick two ports serving the Isle of Skye, and I'm not really sure how you pronounce these. Armadale and Malach, maybe? Malag? But anyway, continue. Then we'll confirm that this is the trip we want to take. Hit continue. The um, identify who is traveling. Um, they have this set up where you purchase tickets for passengers, pets, and vehicles. Of course, with the Steamship Authority, we love pets. We won't, you won't see this on the steamship version because the right pets are included. Um, but want to take a look at the vehicle and bicycle experience. So if we wanted to add a vehicle, um, it's uh, similar to the experience today. Uh, a couple differences, but this is where we're going to be configuring the system to come close to what the steamship experience is today. But for instance, when we select that we want to bring a car, so going through some questions, are you towing anything? Do you have a bike rack? What's your registration, etc. And then this is where again we'll be configuring it to work similar to how it works today with the steamship. So you'd be able to put in your make and model of car, and then that'll auto-populate the length, width, height. And We had a discussion, for instance, in the last meeting around how uh, we won't be asking for weight for passenger vehicles. This is something we'll be asking on the commercial side, but not on the public side. Um, the so hopefully you can see, you know, a similar experience uh, and should be we're hoping pretty straightforward. This is an interface that again has been used by a number of different customers. I'm just going to cancel and close this. Then um, so with our passenger selecting a sailing time, so it brings up a calendar, um, and then selecting dates. So we'll go 22nd to the 27th. So outbound and return trip. Um, I should say one of the other comments that we got was the this system is set up to say, you know, I want to take a one way or return trip. Um, the that's Someone brought up, well, you know, the we don't really call them return trips, and so um, the you know that's some of the language that we're going to be wanting to continue to have user feedback on, just to help us configure the system and make sure that it's using the right terminology and the words that make sense to people. All right, so I'm going to select sailing times. And we can see here, right, brings up the dates. Um, Select a an outbound sailing time. Select a the other side of my round trip. Sailing back. Be able to hit continue. And in this case, now I can see I can again preview the details of my trip, see how much the tickets are going to cost, um, and and then from there, now looking at um, the additional details of my trip. So with the passenger, um, it's now going to give me the summary of my trip, and uh, and as part of this booking experience, I realized I didn't click on it, but the for the passenger details, it already has built in something that will configure the option of, do I want to purchase a ticket, or do I want to use one of my existing coupons or a coupon book to purchase the ticket, so that I can do a mix of maybe I've got an excursion fare for my vehicle, and then I've got a coupon ticket, um, and then uh, click off some. some policy pieces, and when I hit pay now, it jumps over to the payment screen. Um, this uh, um, this now would be where I'd enter all my payment details and the tender that I'm using, all my card information, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to buy this ticket, even though I I do love the Scottish Islands. Um, so uh, the just something else to show you. So that's the ticket purchase experience, and then this is the landing page for an individual. So hi, True. We can see my journeys. So um, what are my bookings, both current and previous, any passes that I have. Again, as I mentioned, being able to quickly go online and see what's the status of my coupon books, and then have my account details. What special programs am I already signed up for? What am I eligible for? So having those easily accessible on the site. So again, the steamship version of this will look a little different, but functionally very similar. And we just wanted to share this to give folks an opportunity just to see what the Adia product looks like, the configurable site, and give you a sense of what it's going to look like once the system rolls out. Uh, any additional questions at this point?
I do have a question. W will the new system automatically migrate all of our existing data, like our profile number and all of that?
Okay, great question. So the we're looking at the migration. What can we bring over? What makes sense to bring over, and what doesn't? That's also something that we're going to be asking people the as part of our user input. What's meaningful to bring over? The the new system will the primary identifier in the new system is your email address. So it's not a system based around profile number. Um, so the profile number uh, won't be something that we're planning on using, and so that won't migrate over. But we are looking at what's the opportunity, especially uh, with excursion and preferred, where folks are already signed up for programs, to bring those over. So we're looking at what are the different ways that trying to bring over some information that's going to be helpful, but the but for instance, right now our plan is not to bring over like everyone's previous automobiles. Uh, I understand that currently you can go into the reservation and for some folks see 30 years of history of what automobiles you've owned. Uh,
Mhm.
we haven't heard that that's something that's meaningful to bring over, but we are looking at
But you look at the
how do we
car
bring over active
registration.
programs?
What about the registrations for the cars that you bring over? Will all of that migrate over?
Yeah, so that's what we're looking at. We're working with the vendor and working with the IT department today to how can we bring over existing information? So existing cars, uh, registrations over into the new system.
And how do you verify that accuracy?
That is a great question. That's that's one of the things we're working with the vendor on is what's the best way to do this? Um, do we have do we have folks come in and set up a profile and then try to match to that profile? Do we have folks come in throughout, this year, maybe starting this summer, validate which information they need to bring over? Because part of what what we're trying to work through is some folks have multiple profiles, and so we want to make sure that if folks have multiple profiles, we bring over the right one.
Thank you.
But thanks for that. I mean, that's honestly that's something that's going to be a challenge as part of this, and we're going to be looking for feedback and input on what's the best way to do it. And Michael?
Hi there, Thomas. Thanks very much for the presentation. It's been very helpful to see the functionality of this product and of the vendors' user interfaces. I'm curious in that as I'm sure you appreciate, there's the a system like the EDA system is indeed a tool, but it's based around a business process, right? And if I think of certainly in my experience, the challenges that I've had with the Steamship Authority, it's less about navigating the website and the reservation system um, you know and and making a reservation, availability notwithstanding, which I know is a fundamental issue of having a whole bunch of systems taped together. But I think my biggest challenges are indeed a lack of transparency. When I make a reservation on a given boat, I don't know how many spots there are on that boat, how many available spots are. It's either available or it's not. Um, Challenges like when I roll onto a boat that I haven't been able to make a reservation on, had to, either sit in the blue line or what have you, and that boat is a quarter full. And it's hard to understand how that can be. I have to believe that in working with a large vendor serving other ferry lines, and you've identified some of the things that you like about the ferry lines that they're working with and their sophistication or the similarities to the Steamship Authority. I have to believe that on the one hand, there are things about the Steamship Authority that are unique. And on the other hand, there are learnings from whether it's IDEA or the integrator that we will use or what have you, where processes at the Steamship Authority can be enhanced by looking at the way that others do things and the way that others use tools like this software. I've done a lot of talking here and I've thrown out a whole bunch of ideas, but I guess what I'm most curious about is beyond the features of the website. What in terms of the business processes used in the reservation system with the Steamship Authority, can users hope to see, and what benefits will we reap from this exercise beyond merely just having a reservation system that works well?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I mentioned, we're looking at all the different sort of, policies and procedures. The one of the big changes that will occur behind the scenes with this new system is a shift from the concept of spaces to managing the decks as linear feet. And this is how the system works. This is how European ferries work. This is how this is, how the right now this concept of spaces doesn't it's sort of core to how the reservation system works today, but it leads to inefficiency because the not all cars fit neatly into the space concept. And this becomes especially true with the commercial shippers. So that commercial shippers, if they take up 3 or 4 car spaces, but that they might take up 4 car spaces, but actually there's 20 feet left over that a car could have fit into. And so because of that, that's one of the reasons why the the there's you know, the boat will get loaded and then there's space left over, is because of the sort of rounding error of the system. And so now there's trade-offs to, more tightly managing that space, better managing that space. But that's something that is really going to come with the system, is so that, if there's uh the system will see, okay, if there's 20 feet left over, you can take that space. If your car is less than 20 feet, you will fit. Um, uh, and so we're having to rethink, how much, how do, no system is perfect. You don't want to book it so full that you leave no margin for error. So trying to make sure that we leave enough room so that, for instance, on a when we set the schedule and then, months ahead of time, and then on a particular day there's a big swell, we want to make sure that we haven't, parked the cars so close together that they start hitting each other, right? So we have to leave a little bit of space. But really, so that's something we're really thinking through, is what does that mean, that shift to linear feet? But that's an example of how we're really looking to use this new system and use the processes that come along with it, the to to better manage that space. Another element is, I had mentioned, having better self-service. So again, the being able to make changes on your phone. So if, you know if you've got a bike rack and there's space available, that you can make your reservation a bit larger, or if you're or if you're a truck and you're going to be a different size, that you can, go in and manage that. The so giving more flexibility in the management, which will allow us to then, be able to, again, just manage that space better, and have better insight into what is the actual deck space that is booked, what is the actual deck space availability, um, and have it a much, much tighter unit than what what essentially is 20-foot increments today. Um, all right. Any other comments? So I'm gonna jump back to the slides. Got a few more want to share with you all, and then we've got some questions for you. Okay. So uh, let me just put it back into presentation mode, make it a little easier to see. Okay. All right. Internally, this also is going to be a big shift for staff. Um, the staff have gotten used to the legacy reservation system. The legacy reservation system is this represented by this black screen. Um, uh, for those of you who may be familiar, this is a style of interface that was rolled out in the 1980s, and it is something that has, folks have largely gotten away from, and replacing it now with this is an example of what the ADIA system looks like internally. And so this will be part of that change process, is working with internal staff, going from the old system now to this new system. Um, it will be, for some staff, it'll be quite a change. It'll be hard, but this is part of an implementation like this, and it's also part of the reason why it's such a long timeline, to implement or relatively long timeline to make sure that not only is the system ready and we've done the proper testing, but also that, as much as possible, we've been able to train all the staff so that, they've got familiarity with the system. They know how the system works. Um, they're used to where the information is on the screen so that again, they'll be able to quickly help customers and answer questions. Okay. I believe at this point, this again just an example of the screens. Um, the before we get into the questions, just wanted to throw out, I guess it's sort of an advertisement for uh, the beta testing user group. So we're really looking for folks that want to help this process, help be uh, part of the implementation again, help just give us feedback, help test the usability, functionality, validate that the user experience is working as intended, help us with any guidance. So, especially folks who have gotten really used to the existing system. And then when you jump to the new system, are there, can you help us, with making sure that we've got the terminology, what's going to be easy, what's going to be a hard transition, so that as we're looking at, how we need to help people move from the old system to the new system, that as much as possible, not only that it works, but also that we've gotten feedback on the training, on the communication, uh, etc. So we've got an email here. A number of folks have already emailed us, over 30 to date, and so we're really excited about that. Really excited to have people that want to be part of this project. We'll be sending out regular communication, just giving some status updates. So the if you're not sure if you want to be part of the group, but you'd like to get updates on the project, again, please just send an email to truenorth@steamshipauthority.com, and we'll add you to the list for any upcoming notifications, as well. The This series of town halls, we're going to do another series of town halls planned for January. There's as we're refining our policies, refining our processes, there's a lot of changes that we're looking at. And so we're looking for feedback on those changes and really want to get everybody's input before then, we bring these to the port council, bring these to the board for their review. And then we're planning to have town hall meetings about every 3 months throughout 2026. And the user group on this slide, the user group we're planning to meet on a monthly basis starting in March. That'll be a plan. So initially it will be probably less about actually going into the system, more about the configuration, more about how we've set up the screens. Probably have some additional policy questions for folks. But we're really looking to, the intent here is we know that there's a lot of interest in this. There's probably also a fair amount of concern. Just people have a really strong connection, and we recognize there's a really strong dependence on the Steamship Authority and making sure that the Steamship Authority gets it right. And so, as much as possible, if you want to talk to us or have questions for us as part of this project, then we want to talk with you, hear what your questions are, and again, just continue to help inform this process. Okay. So we've got a couple questions for you. I mean, this is a pretty big group online, so we'll manage this as best we can. but please, chime in if you've raise your hand if you want to talk and have some thoughts to share. Um, so some of the questions we had to start with on the booking and self-service, um, the we're looking at having more self-service options again. Um, how about this? Why don't I kind of throw out all the questions, and then if folks have comments on this page, there's a few pages of questions. So one of the questions we had are just, what tasks would you like to do yourself? And then the opposite of that, what are the things that you would rather talk to a person? What are the things that you would rather, speak with someone directly as opposed to going to the website? Um, either talking with somebody at the terminal office or calling Mashpee. Um, we're also just interested in additional feedback around mobile digital tickets instead of paper, or as an alternative to paper. Just feedback you've got on the why do you like or not like this idea. Um, Again, we're going to hold on to both. So we're switching to where your ticket will have a QR code, so wherever you have that QR code that the reader can scan, we'll be using that. But want to get a sense of what people's comfort is, and then the last piece is just around service disruptions. Um, how do you want to get that information? Are there better ways? What should we be thinking about as we're updating the notification process? All right. Any questions or comments on this? Yeah, Doug.
Um, I'd be happy to respond to all four of these bullets. I think that the key is options at the user level. So a lot, from my perspective, depends on how much flexibility there is in the account setup where for instance, your last question, how do you want to be notified? I think all options should be available. Maybe not a phone call. I suspect you don't want people calling 500 reservations, but um, text, email, automated phone call, maybe. But I think those preferences should be in the user setup. Uh,
Mhm.
it's, I would hate to see it hardwired. Um, as far as the first one goes, one of the questions I had written down is the whole issue of vehicle management. Right now, you want to change your vehicle, you got to make a phone call, um, which seems, well, it is archaic. It doesn't seem archaic. It is archaic. Um, but the other is even the registration process to become a preferred or an excursion user. Right now you got to send a whole lot of paperwork in, and you have to do it every year. So that, and I'm sure you thought about all this stuff, but um, the less, and I love interacting with people, but on this mundane stuff, the less we have to do that, I think the better. Um, And the only time I ever want to talk to a person is when there's a problem I can't solve online. But that's me. I recognize that some people will pick up the phone first, so you need to be prepared for that. Um, as far as the mobile digital tickets, anybody who's flown in the last, I don't know, 5, maybe even 10 years now, um, and has a mobile phone is used to the capability, whether they use it or not, of getting a ticket on your phone. And though I'm a long time tech friendly guy, I didn't switch to using a ticket on my phone until maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Because humans hate change, and I still think I'm human. So, that's my feedback on this page. While I'm here, if I may, there were some comments in the paper responding to the write-up on the last meeting, and one hasn't been discussed here, the issue of virtual standby, which sounds great on paper. I don't have to go to the terminal to get on standby. I can imagine 500 people on standby if they can't go to the terminal. And that seems to me to be creating a problem rather than solving one. So I haven't thought this through, but it feels to me like if you want to be on standby, you got to drive up. If the line is too long, get a number, go home, wait 2 hours. We'll text you, we'll call you, whatever it is, 40 minutes ahead of time and come back down. But my opinion is if you want to get on standby, you got to drive up. But it's only one guy's opinion. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah,
Oh,
so I
I
mean,
want to say one other thank you, if I may.
yeah,
I've been to a number of Steamship Authority board meetings, which are handled as webinars, which I think are thoroughly unfriendly. So thank you for doing this as a Zoom meeting that most people are very comfortable with.
great, thanks for that. Yeah, so just to expand on a couple things based on your comments. Yeah, the 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 airport experience is something we're definitely looking at. It's part of a lot of discussion we've had internally is okay, people are used to the airport experience. They're used to and then other experience, right? They're used to taking the bus, they're used to taking the subway, that there's certain things that people have gotten used to. How can we make this experience more similar to that? And yes, similar to the airplane experience today, right? It doesn't matter what your ticket's on, as long as you've got, as long as you've got the right code that can be scanned, then that's good enough, and it's down to personal preference. Um, the um, and and yeah, the what we're hoping to do is put as much as possible into the system so that you don't have to go talk to go inside and talk to the terminal agent, that you can self-service. That is one that we've talked about a lot, is the making sure that people are showing up with the right car, because making it easy to update on your phone or update on the computer, the being able to self-manage that. And then there's another piece to this, which is if we get the notifications right, we're also reminding people which car they signed up for a trip to have, so that so they know which car they were supposed to bring to the terminal, and then we make it easy for them to change it. So that right, so there's there's some things like this where like all of the pieces coming together should actually make it just a lot easier for everybody, that we just can't do in the current system. Uh, Similarly, we're also looking at virtual standby, how to improve the the process of getting kind of last minute tickets, and what's the window for last minute tickets, what's the window to get last minute reservation and get on the boat. Part of that again is working through, okay, because we have limited ability for notification, it actually limits the ability to notify people timely so that they can take a last minute trip. And so as we get better with notifications, it kind of opens the door to being able to better be able to sign people up and give them, some more last minute options. That so it wouldn't work in today's system, but that's one of the things we're just trying to think through as a team, and we'll be looking for more feedback on, as we look at, okay, how can we do this better? Because some of that uh, right, some of that kind of last 48 hours before a trip is also a lot of what results in how full the boat actually is. And so trying to make that better so that if there's space available, people know, and they can come down to the terminal and use it. All right. And Michael, you had a question? or comment? If I hit, I'm trying to unmute you, or I think you have to unmute yourself. Maybe there you go.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I joined this meeting a little late, so if this was covered, tell me and I'll find the answer. I just wanted to know whether all of this also includes a phone app, because a lot of what you're talking about, I mean, to Doug's point, right? Anyone who's flown in the last 10 years, you can do everything on the airline app. And they do a pretty good job of notifying you. I mean, as good as anybody does. So just wondering whether is there an app that's going to be associated with all of this work?
Yeah, yeah. So Adia, the vendor, so the path that they've taken is to have a responsive design. So it's a mobile app. So it's using the having the full functionality as part of a mobile friendly design as on the phone. But there is not a plan to have a specific iPhone or Android app that you have to download and keep on your phone.
Okay, so can you give me an example where else that exists? Because I'm not sure I'm following what the difference is.
Yeah, it's so um the so responsive design is where it scales to the device you're on, and the it's so rather than having to go into like an app store,
Right.
download an app, instead, if you just bring up your browser window, you'll
Oh,
have the full functionality.
okay. Oh, I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah, it's um but it takes a lot of thought to get right because you have to get the scaling right, get the buttons right so that so that you can use it with your finger and it's easy and intuitive. But it has a real benefit of the if you get used to the desktop experience and then you switch to the phone, the look and feel is very, very similar.
Okay. I just know using the SSA site on your phone is brutal.
Uh, it is pretty brutal when you switch to the right because there's several apps depending on what transaction you're trying to do today, right? It's um there's a few different app choices and then yeah, when you try to go to the full website, the the Steamship's current website is not responsive design. It's not designed to work on your phone. So when you go to the full website, you're doing a lot of pinching and moving
Yes,
around.
yes, pinching.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the removing so responsive design you don't have that experience. So if so Michael, what I would encourage you to check out is I don't know if you got to see the CalMac demo. But if you go to the CalMac ferry, which is the Scottish
Yep.
ferry, if you just Google CalMac, it'll take you quickly there. The if you bring it up on your desktop, if you go to hit the red button that says buy a ticket or book a trip, uh, you'll be able to see it on your desktop. And then if you do the same thing on your mobile phone, you'll be able to see how it's scaled
Okay.
to
All right.
those
I'll
two
do
different
that. Yeah.
experiences.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments on this page?
I have a question about priority booking windows for residents.
Yes.
I'm not super clear on what it is now, but I think that like 7 a.m. the day before, there are some reservations opened for residents.
Yes, you're talking about I think the 30-day, 7 day, and 1 day preferred.
Yes,
Yes. Yep.
that will remain the same.
Yeah, so that's something that we know folks are using, and that will be that's something again that will be configured into the new system. So it may work slightly different,
Uh-huh.
but But that's something we know folks are using. We know it's very important to islanders especially. We know that right that that we cannot plan our lives 6 months out, and so yeah, that program is something that'll be preserved in the new system.
Great. I better learn how it works. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right, and then Lydia, I think you need to unmute. Yep, you had a
Yes,
question or comment?
I do have a couple comments. One has to do with notifications, where I would like to see automatic notifications rather than having to call the steamship authority to get information. And that has to do with when the authority receives paperwork that's filed for, Head Start or Preferred, or, updating our updating our paperwork. I think whenever we submit any paperwork, we should get an email confirmation that the information has been received. So we don't have to call to confirm whether or not it has been. I think the authority is really good about calling when they have questions about something we submitted. I really love that. The friendliness of the people, at the authority and their helpfulness. But I think that we could really free up their time if we were to get these notifications instead of having to call them and ask, "Did you get my paperwork?" Um, so yeah, I would definitely like to see that, and also confirmations once once we have submitted our requests for tickets, which we can do by email versus having to go online when, the reservation system, Head Start or whatever opens up to submit our request. It would be great if in real time we were able to get confirmation of the receipt and processing of any email submissions that we make. Um, and in terms of ticketing, um, I love the idea that we would have the ability to have the tickets on our phone, and I would recommend that if possible, that we would be able to download them to our wallets, to the Apple Wallet, Google Wallet, whatever options people have on their phones already. Um, I realize, of course, that there would probably automatically, maybe by default, be the option to um, have a copy of the barcode or whatever this ticket's going to look like that you could keep in your photos or something. But having it be able to be saved to a wallet would be really good, and useful and helpful in terms of organizing tickets and making sure that you have them available and even could transfer them to, a spouse or partner or whatever so that somebody has the ticket and it's easily available. Um, I think that might. Oh, and also you mentioned this, but I'm just going to have to. I just want to repeat it because it looked to me as you went through the demonstration that the site is. It looks really intuitive. It looks like it's really easy. And that's good. Although I'd have to see more as it's developed and configured if that's going to hold true. But I have to say that that first screen you showed where it said one way and then return was so incredibly confusing that it didn't say one way and round trip. I'm glad that you picked up on the nuances of, I guess the cultural differences in terms of the language that we use in the States versus the language that they may use in Scotland. Um, and I hope that, of course, that there'll be more opportunities to vet that during the configuration process. Those are my comments. That's it.
Great. Thank you for those. That's super helpful. Yeah, the we appreciate the feedback on the notification. So the that's definitely some feedback we'll take back and again, we're as we're looking at that process and looking how we're going to use the new system, that's really helpful to understand where you'd want to see notifications. So um, the at this point, I don't want to like commit to like how it's going to work necessarily in the future, but
Sure.
that's helpful to know that where you'd want to see those notifications. Um, and and also the feedback on the wallet. I mean, there already exists like some functionality, like I don't know if you can see my phone, right? To have steamship tickets on your phone in your wallet. That's one of those things that a version of this exists today, and so we want to hold on to that. So that's also where we're looking for feedback is sort of where where are there things that we like that the steamship is doing that we want to hold on to, like the 1 day, 7 day preferred, right? We want to make sure that we preserve those as we go into the new system, and then add on the additional things that we're looking for.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. All right, yeah, Doug.
Yeah, me again. One of the things we cannot do, as far as I can tell, is purchase a senior ticket online. So you don't need to answer, but put that on the list.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
because as somebody earlier said, a third of the island is over 65, so it needs to be considered. I have an implementation question also, which doesn't directly affect the passengers and the folks making reservations, but will certainly have an effect if there are too many problems. And my experience with implementations of this complexity, the back office integration, especially this one where the ticketing basically from what you demonstrated is probably 85, 90% done, right? And so the testing is pretty straightforward. Even if we have 200 customers testing, I suspect you'll have a short list of issues. But the back office integration with process, which is also changing, seems to me a huge challenge in terms of making sure that when the go live date comes around, that it is as error free as possible. I would be astounded if it was 100% error free, but the the degree to which there are kerfuffles is going to be carefully watched. And I think you talked about testing on one of the earlier slides. In my opinion, 90% of that is going to be out of view of the end user public. It's in the back offices. And the thing that concerns me a little bit is that it takes a lot of time. And people have to do their jobs anyway. When I was doing implementations like this, one of the early comments I made to my clients was, you need to make time that is not 9 to 5. And the best implementations came from clients who would send me questions with email stamps well past 7 p.m. So I'm hoping, again, not looking for an answer, but hoping that the Steamship Authority has budgeted for some overtime or whatever it takes to allow the staff to truly beat the system up and give you the feedback you need.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great comment. Yeah, that is something that is part of the project is identifying where we can backfill folks to open up time to be part of the project. The some level of that is already happening today just because of the intensity of the conversations with Adia to get the configuration right. Um, I mean, in terms of the back office integration, so the core of the reservation system, to your point, really is that back office functionality. And while I shared with you kind of what the front end looks like, the uh, again, part of this one system approach is what we're purchasing from Adia is a consolidated experience so that so that we're not integrating front end and back end. It's really we're configuring one system that's already built, already works, and then really just trying to make sure that the steamship view of the world is properly reflected. Like, having
No,
the
I
windows,
get that. I get
etc.
that. But I'm talking about integrating the system with the humans.
Yes, yes. Okay, yep. Then yes, that is a big lift. The
And
and
that's where I firmly believe you need to be working at. I don't see how you're successful without putting in time that is beyond the 9 to 5. So I have to run. So thank you very much for this. I look forward to next steps.
All right. Doug, thanks so much for your questions and feedback. Really appreciate it. All right. All right, we've got a couple more questions for folks. If if people are happy to stick around for a few more minutes. So um the so some of the questions we had, which again, let me just run through these quickly, and if folks have thoughts, please share. Uh, we're looking to understand, how people are using the wait list today, how people are using standby today, how often you're using the wait list, how often you're changing tickets, how often you're traveling on standby. Um, we're we're also looking for feedback on the transferable reservation options. So these are those tickets that are bought as part of the Head Start, and then you can transfer to another person. Just trying to understand what are the dynamics. So if we look at changing how transferable reservations work, what kind of guidance do we need? Um, the We are looking to, as I mentioned, have as much online as possible. And so the excursion tickets, medical, college, other programs, the senior tickets, right? Um, we're looking to have this, upload documents and um, want to just, see how much of this, people are really planning to use out of the box. um, and then an additional piece is as we're looking at operations and we're looking at how do we make the whole experience more efficient. Also, one of the things we're looking at again is the medical program, how the medical program is being used today. Where is there an opportunity to improve it? Because folks are using it different ways today, and we it's a program that's being used more and more and more, and so we know that getting the medical program right in the future system is going to be really important, not just next year when the system rolls out or in 2027, but 5 years, 10 years down the line with the number of islanders, the demographic shift of the islands, the more utilization of the medical program. We really want to make sure we get this one right. Um, and then the last one on here, just yeah, the any feedback on the being able to see your trips, your coupon books. Is there anything we should be thinking about? Anybody have any thoughts or comments on these? Yes, Anne?
I think the wait list works awesome. It has never failed me.
Okay.
So I love it. And it means I don't travel on standby very often.
When you say it's never failed you, meaning you've been able to get a reservation and then you use the wait list to move to the time closer to what you were looking for?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for that.
Hmm.
And Michael?
I got to give the opposite answer to Anne's. I have some pretty significant challenges with the waitlist system, and it's um, here's my concern with it. There are plenty of times where I have not been able to get, uh, never mind the boat, the day that I want to travel, and so as a means of being able to get onto the wait list, I'm then booking a reservation that I have no intention of using. I am taking a spot on a boat that I will never use,
Hmm.
only for the purpose of getting on the wait list so that I can try to get on another day or another time. And I think that I am, in doing so, I recognize that I am gumming up the works for everybody else because now there's a lack of availability on another boat that truly is a ghost, right? And so I think that's an example of a of a process that I hope and I expect, since you're asking the question of, how can we handle this better. I think that definitely rethinking the way that one gets on the wait list, and not requiring another reservation again that someone may or may not ever use or have any intention to use is an important thing to look at.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that. And Lydia, do you want to chime into the wait list as well?
Um, well, I wanted to comment on some other things as well, but I will say that I agree with the last speaker. Although I haven't had any trouble with the wait list, I do think that having to book a reservation first is it seems like it's unnecessary and time consuming. Although the fact that you've already paid and you automatically get a spot makes sense, but perhaps there's another way to do it. Um, can I make the other comments, or do you want to get all the waitlist comments first?
Well, if I could just respond. So that's very much something that the team's looking at. And that is a functionality that the vendor brings out of the box is their system is set up so that the so that you can purchase essentially they use different language, but you can purchase a waitlist ticket without having to use up space that you're not planning to use. Um, and so we're trying to capture the best of both worlds, working with the vendor on that, both using, giving the option of a waitlist that works similar to today, um, where you can purchase a ticket and then have the option of traveling on a time close to that, or being able to to purchase a refundable spot on the wait list that you're then not taking up space somewhere else where
Right.
so we're really looking at trying to preserve some of those things, but then also just looking at different ways around trip certainty. So how can we set things up so that people reserve the trip that they want to take, and there's uh this there's still going to be the space constraints of the boats. We can't make the boats bigger with the new reservation system. We can use the space better, allocate the space more efficiently, but yeah, we're trying to do both of those things. It's a balance. And again, that's something, as we're the I guess just one more thing to say is the wait list is that wait list functionality. The way that the steamship uses it is pretty unique to the steamship. There aren't other ferry systems that use the wait list in this way the steamship is. So there's been a lot of work with the vendor trying to trying to configure the system in a way that kind of help meet all these different needs. So it'll that's again just another area where we're really going to be looking for feedback on as we hone in on how this should work in the future. And then you had another comment?
Yeah, it was about the second point, the transferable reservations.
Yeah.
Um, I would like to see, again, this has to do with notifications. I think the way it works now is well. It's just that once you transfer a reservation, you don't get any notification that it has actually happened unless the recipient emails, contacts you, or you contact the recipient. And I would love to see confirmation coming from the steamship authority saying the transfer's taken place, other than having a ticket disappear from your account.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Um, yeah, yeah, that's great feedback. I'm thinking of uh yeah, other ticketing systems like if you use like StubHub or Ticketmaster have different versions of that. So you have some information on did the transfer work. So yeah,
Right. I mean, you
that's
see that when you transfer tickets like from your MLB account or NFL account, immediately it says Mark Allen has received your tickets or something like that.
um yeah, that's really helpful feedback. Thank you for that. All right. Any other thoughts on this one? All right. Um, the uh let's see, we had similar questions for the mainland. Last couple questions were really for more of the commercial and business customers. Again, as I mentioned, the we're not just for the traveling public, but also for commercial customers, looking at how can we improve the experience, improve, self-management. Um, and then, a big one, as I mentioned earlier, is we're trying to improve, knowing when a vehicle shows up that it's the right vehicle and the right size. So this is all the questions that we had for folks. Really, if there's any other questions or comments, we'd love to hear. And again, if you've got additional thoughts, please email us at the project email, so true north at steamshipauthority.com, so that we can uh, you know open this discussion or have some further things to bring to future meetings. Um, and again, we'd love to hear if you want to be part of the beta group. And we'd also love to hear if you want just, notifications about the project. And I guess the third thing would just be keep an eye out for the next round of town halls that we're planning to do in January. All right. If no other questions, comments, thank you all so much for your time. We know it's late in the day. Thanks for sticking with us through this. Really appreciate it. Appreciate the commentary, the dialogue, and we look forward to the next session with everybody. So thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming tonight.
Yes, thank you.